The railroad has been essential to the development and identity of the United States, serving as a crucial means of transportation and a symbol of progress. Its historical significance is evident in the westward expansion of the 19th century, particularly with the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869, which connected the nation and facilitated the movement of goods and people. This not only boosted economic growth but also fostered cultural exchange, creating a shared American experience. In modern times, the railroad remains vital to the nation's infrastructure. Freight trains transport over 1.7 billion tons of goods annually, providing an efficient and environmentally friendly alternative to road transport. This helps reduce traffic congestion and lower greenhouse gas emissions, aligning with the growing focus on sustainability. Passenger rail services, such as Amtrak, further emphasize the railroad's importance by offering affordable travel options that connect urban and rural communities. This accessibility promotes social equity and allows diverse individuals to engage with different regions of the country. Moreover, the railroad industry supports millions of jobs and drives advancements in technology and engineering. As a critical asset in addressing contemporary transportation challenges, the railroad embodies the spirit of innovation and unity that defines the American experience. Its significance resonates in the lives of all Americans, linking them to their past and shaping their future.
Well, right now I got David Coleman on there. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Great, Mike. Just did a little, had to run to the bank and get some money out, and I was by the tracks and caught the Lehigh Valley Heritage Unit tonight. So kind of a, interesting sighting there on an intermodal train on NS, or maybe soon to be Union Pacific tracks.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, that's going to be a disaster in the making. I just see it coming. I just hope that board don't accept them doing this. So, all right, you take it from there, Dave.
Yeah, well, first off, your take right there is spot on. That Surface Transportation Board is going to be what it all comes down to. The Department of Justice is going to have a lot of say in this, because this could be a monopoly on, railroading across the country. You know that CSX and the BNSF and the Canadian railroads are definitely going to want to get in on this as well. They're going to want trackage rights. They're going to want certain deals cut for them, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at it, Union Pacific and NS, if they make a deal, I mean, they've got a line. They go from Seattle all the way down to Jacksonville. They could go all the way from Southern California all the way into New England, and the Northeast. They would have all the basically covered. I mean, they'd have so many areas of the country covered that it would almost force the BNSF and the CSX to merge, and then it just puts so much pressure on the shippers. I think this is really a nightmare. It's Wall Street at its worst, and I just think, to me, I've said it for years on this show. Jim Venna, the guy's nothing more than a game show host. He spins the wheel on whatever he does with Union Pacific, and now he's spun it and it landed on railroad mergers, and he's just trying to make more money and line his pockets. And this is not really about making railroading better. I've talked to several people who work for Class 1s, and they all hope that this is just a bad dream. It's not real, but I don't know, Mike. It's going to come down to what these STB guys think. I talked to a guy that's an engineer for a big Class 1 in Chicago that may or may not be involved with this merger, and he just said to me that, there's a lot of loopholes they have to jump through, but there's a lot of people, too, that just think we're living in such unprecedented times that they might just let this happen, because, the way the world is now, hey, we're seeing more and more of this, and we're seeing companies like Amazon dominate everything. So, I don't like where it's going. I sure as hell hope it doesn't happen.
Well, I hope not too. Bear with me for a little bit here. I've been having some weird problems going on here at the station. When I signed on, I'm trying to get these audio levels a little bit better. Now I don't seem to be getting buried like they were, so I think I got us pretty much adjusted. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what their past record, Union Pacific record was, though, but if I'm correct, it wasn't so good. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought so.
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Because if you remember last year, we did a story on, remember there was a story out in like Nebraska where the AAR had to come in and like inspect the freight cars at the big rail yard there in North Platte. The real, and I guess a lot of the freight cars weren't even like really, they didn't even meet the regulations and the standards of what they should be. And that was on the UP. And, I've done a lot of stories too with you where there's been a lot of posts on train orders where, these UP trains are getting so long that it's almost like you have to have a double track line and the sidings are too small to run these trains. And I know Amtrak was getting screwed. And then, there's just been a lot of issues with them. The other thing that I can see them doing, Mike, if this merger were to go through, is last month, we talked about the crews on CSX going from 4 to 3 between Chicago and the East Coast. I could see them doing that with NS, on the old, I shouldn't say old NS, but on the current NS.
Yeah.
Like where they would go like Chicago to Cleveland. They'd recrew by the airport there in Cleveland, or maybe on Berea siding, or somewhere around Olmsted.
Yes, they do at Berea quite a bit over there. I always hear that dispatcher saying, dump the train off, though, just keep it running, the next crew, I'm saying how they do it. Yep. I could see them recrewing trains around there, and then I could see them, Mike, this is how crazy UP thinks, but I could see them bypassing Conway Yard as a recrew point and maybe going down Tudor or going to Harrisburg even, and then they just run the next crew all the way to northern New Jersey. And, I mean, all the stuff I've read, Mike, about, this happening is not, like, the other thing I've heard, too, is that they might cut out, like, all the NS computer systems will be just destroyed, dismantled. And then the other thing I've heard, too, is, like, I guess UP's already started doing this, is they're having, like, short lines and third parties operate their yards. So they might, like, the yards might not even be operated by, like, the employees from, this new, I guess it's supposed to be called Union Pacific Transcontinental Railroad if it goes through. So can you just imagine, like, these yards being operated by people who are third-party people? I just don't think that's a good idea. That could be a disaster waiting to happen. Oh, boy. Hang on here. Yeah, I would say. I forgot my mic level, though. I think it might be okay now. So, yeah. I don't know. Sorry, a little technical. I had something go on here. I don't know what happened, but some of my settings all got goofed up here. According to the recording, I'm okay. Going out looks pretty good. So, okay. I think the technical is over with, though. Hey, you did get one of them pictures, though, about the iconic movie star I recorded on the tracks.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I saw that. Yep, I did see that. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, I got Wheeling Lake Erie 6553, the iconic movie star from the movie Unstoppable. That was this AWVR 1206 locomotive that was on the rear trying to do a reverser to slow this train out when it came into that sharp curve, though. What, I can't remember the name of the town there. It started with S.
I don't know. Yeah, I've never rail fan. Is this like west of? Where is this on the Wheeling? West of Cleveland, or where is this exactly?
No, actually, the movie took place in Pennsylvania, though.
Trying to think where it was. Oh, yeah, you're talking about Unstoppable. Yeah, the movie. I'm trying to think where that was. Yeah.
It's down that one line. Supposedly, I don't know if it was actually filmed on location or not, though. As soon as I get off here, I'll remember.
Yeah, I'd have to look. Yeah, I'd have to look it up exactly where that was. I saw them. I saw
Stranton or Stanton.
New Stanton, maybe that could be
Stanton.
It.
Yeah, okay, I think that's right.
Yeah, that could be it. New Stanton is down. Yeah, I'm looking it up right now on Wikipedia right now. Allegheny and West Virginia Railroad. Let's see. Let's see here. It's based off of what happened with that CSX engine that was a runaway like over about 25 years ago down in or over in Toledo, and it went down.
Yeah, the Crazy Eights. Yep.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Crazy Eights. Yep. Yeah, 8888.
Yep. Yeah, here I got the thing right up here where the filming took place. It took place in the Ohio cities of Martins Ferry, Bel Air, Mingo Junction, Steubenville, and Brewster. And then in Pennsylvania, it took place in Emporium, Milesburg, Tyrone, Julian, Unionville, Port Matilda, Bradford, Monaca, Eldred, Millhall, Turtle Point, Port Allegheny, and Carnegie. Also around Olean, New York. So it looked like that happened. A lot of this was filmed on the old Pennsylvania Buffalo line, which Conrail actually used. Conrail used that line, and NS actually used that line in the early 2000s for a lot of run-throughs from Canada that would go down to Allentown, PA, which I have. I got to get back to Allentown, PA. I got a thought on that yard, what might happen with that area with this merger. But that line used to be really kind of an interesting line. Used to handle a lot of auto traffic in the Conrail days. But then after the merger with Conrail and everything, that line kind of fell off the map. And the West New York and Pennsylvania just uses it for the fracking trains now, it seems like.
Okay, well, hey, tell me a little bit more toward the movie. So, yeah, I was fortunate. That's the second time I got that thing. About 2 years ago I got it, too. I didn't get the best footage, but this time I got the best footage. So that video will come out Monday morning, though. It'll be entitled My Mission.
Can't wait to see it, man. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, it should be awesome to see. That'll be fun to see. So, yeah, just I've been digging deep into this merger talk, though. I mean, it's that's really the only stuff that I really looked up this week. I mean, it was all over the news. It's crazy how people were talking about this. And our friend Typhoon over on Train Orders, a guy who works for a Class 1, had a really good comment about the dispatchers. He said the NS dispatchers are unionized and the UP dispatchers are non-unionized. So you got to wonder how that's going to factor in. See, these are all things, Mike, that, like when Jim Venna and all these people, these higher-ups with the UP and the NS, they don't even think about this stuff. They just see, hey, we can make money, we can run wild on Wall Street, the stocks will go way up, but they don't realize, what about that poor dispatcher who's working third shift on the Allegheny territory, who's eating dinner, on the job, they're like,
really?
Yeah. I mean, that's the sad reality of this, Mike, is like, I said it to you earlier today, a guy like Jim Venna is a hero on Wall Street, but he's a zero to the railroad world because, these guys live in, a world where, to them, they don't even realize, this affects people's lives. They just see a stock price and, hey, how can we grow our business? And in reality, the business is not getting better. I mean, there's so many fewer trains than there used to be. And, I don't know. I just think this could be like a Penn Central type thing where it just, in UP back in the day in the 90s merged with Southern Pacific. They bought Southern Pacific. They bought Chicago Northwestern. And, Mike, I'm telling you, both of those mergers, I mean, those were a bad, bad mess. They were in a meltdown, like down in Houston. They had problems galore, and I'm reading about it on Train Orders, and people were just saying it was a cluster, you know what.
Well, I know, cluster F. We're trying to keep the language going clean, though, because this video will be posted on YouTube, so I got to keep it clean for this part, you know. But even though the network here is free speech, we can say whatever we want, so we're trying to keep it clean for this portion. They might demonetize me or something. I don't want that, because that little bit of money helps, you know.
Yep, absolutely. But kind of going back to some of the points about this merger, you know, I mean, I'm not going to get into all the business side of that because we can read about all that online.
Yeah.
But I think the fascinating thing was this guy, his username on train orders is called Hard Yellow. He posted this 2 days ago, and he's a retired Los Angeles division engineer on the Union Pacific, and he said, as an engineer who survived the UP takeover of the Southern Pacific, let me tell you, all you NS operating employees, a few things to look for. Wherever there is an existing city like Kansas City or Chicago, New Orleans, it will be, forget any seniority rights. That's not going to happen. They're going to give all the UP people the seniority in that way. The UP, he said, will try to pawn this off as a merger, but UP is going to control the whole thing, he says. He goes, the first thing they'll do is probably change the train symbols and then initiate their own computer system. And the other thing, too, he said that's really interesting is, and I'm going to kind of expand on some thoughts on this here, is he thinks what they'll do is they'll make these divisions even larger, and then what they'll do is they'll sell off some of these secondary routes and some of these areas where they don't have that many trains. And what they'll do, I think what they'll do, Mike, is we've been talking a lot on this show about how NS is going into New England by using CSX tracks. Well, I think what they'll do, Mike, is I think east of Bellevue, if this merger happens, this is a theory of mine, I think they'll sell off that nickel plate line maybe from Chicago to Buffalo, maybe Bellevue to Buffalo to one of the Canadian roads, or like a Genesee in Wyoming.
Yeah.
And those trains that go to New England, the 264 and 265, they'll get on the CSX at Berea, and UP will just pay CSX to run those trains, and they'll run them all the way up from Berea up into up towards Boston, and they'll just run them all across upstate New York, and they'll run them, and they'll just pay them to do that. They already do that. UP does that right now on the BNSF Transcon, through Fort Madison and down to Kansas City and that way. So UP is they're all about wheeling and dealing, and then I think, Mike, the other thing they'll do is a lot of these secondary lines, like the Southern Tier line in New York, the lines coming out of Allentown, PA, that go up through Scranton and Wilkes-Barre, the Taylor Yard, that I think will all be gone. I think they'll sell those off. I could even see, Mike, them pulling out of Detroit, honestly. I could see UP being hey, we'll just give these to the Canadian roads, or we'll give that to some a Watco or some short line, because they don't even care about that stuff. It's just about the big dollar, the long haul, and I don't know. I just don't like where this could go. It could be disastrous.
Oh, I hope the hell this don't happen. I mean, I know Norfolk's been trying to keep everything. Hey, we had a critical alarm here outside of Elyria the other day.
Oh, wow.
Train 10Q. At least the conductor doesn't walk too far. It was on the 25th axle behind the leading locomotive. So I guess the bearing did get hot. I believe 10Q was already on its way to Bellevue. I guess they limped it on down into Bellevue, though, is my guess. So, yeah, we had a critical alarm. And I think we had another one out by Sandusky late last night. I don't know, I was half asleep, though, and I kept on nodding off, trying to listen and nodding off, and I don't know what hell happened, though. But, yeah, we had a critical alarm at the 210.2 mile marker, the new detector they put in. So, good thing they put it in.
Very good point there.
Because
Yeah,
the very
those,
next one would have been at the 220.9 in Vermilion. So between Larry and Vermilion, no telling what could have happened. It could have happened right in the middle of Amherst when it goes right through there. Could have derailed right off them high-rise bridges going through town there.
Good point. Yeah, really good point. And, it was interesting. You talk about the derailment, at East Palestine. You go back to East Palestine, and I was talking with Fred Fraley, the guy I was telling you about who sent me that book.
Yeah.
Fred's a long-time Trains magazine writer, been around railroading forever. And him and I were talking about this potential merger the other night. And Fred just said to me that, he goes, look, East Palestine changed NS forever. He goes,
yep.
That ruined them financially. He goes, yeah, maybe insurance covered some of it, but he goes, in the court of public opinion, that really hurt them a lot. And he goes, that really made them a real broken railroad. And the other thing that I didn't get his opinion on, but I was telling you about too, was, that train, that business train that the UP ran across the NS system, or I shouldn't say the system, but they ran across the major lines that we rail fan, the Chicago line, the Cleveland line, Fort Wayne, Pittsburgh, all those lines going east towards New Jersey. Here's my thing, Mike. When they ran that train 7 years ago to the Harriman Estates there in downstate New York, they had to have been inspecting the NS territory. They probably saw, okay, this looks like a pretty good railroad, especially west of Cleveland, where it's pretty flat.
Yeah.
And they probably were saying, if the day's right, or the money's right, hey, and we want to really get to the East Coast and make a transcontinental railroad, maybe this is the way we go,
Sure.
And, it was interesting, too. I heard reports that NS had, some of their most senior and qualified engineers and conductors running that train. So that they probably were handling that train as high priority as it could be handled, and they probably said, hey, this looks like a good railroad, you got the right people around. And the other thing, too, they put in on the engines on those that business train, was they put the cab signals in, which the NS has between Harrisburg and Cleveland on the old Pennsylvania line. So you wonder, were they testing out how the cab signals work? There's a lot. I haven't heard anybody else talk about this week, because I know that was 7 years ago, but I wonder if that business train, there were some important people on that train doing some inspecting. And the other thing too, that with that train that no one ever mentions, is it ran through downtown Pittsburgh, where they're talking about trying to get these clearances raised for the double stack. So you wonder if they were inspecting that, if they were looking at that, because they went through Pittsburgh in the daytime both times, when they went east and then when they went back west. So you have to wonder if they were looking at that, how much would that cost? Would they help fund that? So, if we're talking about this stuff on a radio show, these people definitely in a boardroom somewhere have definitely discussed it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. Yeah. All right, well, we've been out here about going on 22 minutes, so we got a little bit of time to kill. So, yeah, very good points. Interesting there. What else you got?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I've heard a lot about, with this, with this merger and everything is people just keep saying if it does happen, with, what will happen with CSX and what will happen with BNSF. And the thing that a lot of people keep saying is BNSF, their parent company is owned by Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett, could buy any of these railroads at any time because of how deep Berkshire Hathaway's pockets are. So from what I understand, and this is what Fred Fraley and I were talking about a little bit the other night, was Fred was saying to me that the NS is a real broken railroad. Union Pacific isn't what it was, but they don't have the pockets that the BNSF has, and to me, the BNSF, to me, they have to be looking at this saying like, hey, if UP's talking like $85 billion, they can buy up NS. Like, I would think that BNSF could come in there and make a even bigger offer. And I'd honestly say, Mike, that, you know, if you look at the routes between like the West Coast and Chicago, I mean, I think to me, the BNSF has a better route. The Transcon, like, that goes through like Fort Madison and goes all the way out Kansas City, and there's one segment I think that's single track that I think they were trying to double track with a bridge near, I think, in Missouri. But I think they've got a better route because, like, you know, when the UP gets to Wyoming and Utah and all that, they got to really go through the Rocky Mountains a little bit. So I to me, if I were like wanting like the best route possible from Chicago to, you know, the West Coast, and you wanted to move like UPS traffic across the country, which is the big shipper, I would say to me the BNSF is the better route. But you know, we'll just see how this all goes down, man. I mean, I don't know. I just don't have a good feeling that, like, I think in 10 years it could be like maybe 4 railroads, the 2 Canadian ones and, you know, maybe two transcontinental ones, and a bunch of these short lines that are kind of controlled by corporate America, like the Genesee and Wyoming, the Watco, and it's just it's a lot different railroad world than when, you know, guys like you and I grew up, because it's so homogenized now. It's all corporate America controlling it.
Wow, yeah. Somebody just commented here. It's cute. Oh, it's chugga choo choo. One of our listeners. Oh, it's in our chat room right now. Thank you very much for that. I think he's referring it to another user that doesn't care for our railroad talk, though. But anyway, that's another story, though. But I thought I had to add that in. Yeah, thanks for that. So, where are we at here?
Yeah, I mean, all I would say to that guy is, you know, like, if you think that, you know, it's tough to get groceries are expensive now, and things are hard to get at times now. I mean, imagine if this merger goes through, and all I tell that guy is Google Union Pacific meltdown in the late 90s, and you'll see what a mess that was and how that screwed up the supply chain, especially down in like Houston and several areas like on around the UP system. And I mean, imagine walking into a grocery store or a Walmart or something, and the shelves are empty because, like, you know, say Union Pacific can't ship them. And, you know, I mean, the crazy thing is, Mike, you know, like you mentioned the other day when you were out, you saw that geometry train out. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if there were Union Pacific personnel on that train. You know,
yeah. I don't know what happened to that train. Last I remember, it was parked at Toledo Station, and I don't know if it went to Oak Harbor and decided to go down through Bellevue, or did it go through? I lost track. That's the last I seen of it, and no word since. Maybe it
really interesting, yeah.
Yeah, it might have snuck out of there in the middle of the night or something.
Yeah, could have. Yeah. Really interesting how they, you know, obviously running that around right now, because I don't think that's just being run for NS right now. I think there's some other interest in that. But the other railroad that I was going to mention, one of my other theories was, I think, to me, if I was the Wheeling in Lake Erie, I might try to, like, roll the dice on, like, if this merger does go through. Like, if I was Wheeling in Lake Erie, I might see if I could try to buy, like, the old nickel plate line to Chicago, or, you know, maybe buy it to Buffalo and, you know, grow. I mean, because, like, to me, you know, railroads like them and the Buffalo and Pittsburgh, they got to go. Like, they can't just sit back during this. Like, this is where they got to be aggressive. And even the Canadian roads, too. Like, imagine if KC, could acquire the nickel plate line between like Chicago and Buffalo. I mean, now they would have their own tracks to run trains on and not have to depend on other railroads for trackage rights. I don't know, Mike. I think there's a lot of things that could happen. There's tons of speculation online. Like, more people think that trains are going to go through St. Louis and Memphis, which we saw a few months ago that those trains in Memphis were getting broken into. So I don't know if you want to go there, but
I'm not sure I would either.
Yeah, but you know, and these people too that are saying, hey, it'll be easier for the accountants to bill stuff because it'd be on one railroad. I think that's just a cop out. Like that's like just a logistical. I don't know. My feeling at the end of the day, Mike, is like, you know what? I just hope that for the employees, you know, they don't, you know, combine them, and then a lot of people lose their jobs. Or the other side of this too is like, hey, let's say you don't have a lot of seniority with one of these companies. They might say, hey, you're working in Harrisburg, PA, in a yard now. Yeah, we're going to ship you to Vancouver, Washington to work. Or, you know, we're going to send you you're working in Cleveland on a local. You've only worked for us for a year. We're going to ship you down to Houston or something. So, like,
Yeah.
That's a concern, you know, with something like this. You could be in a lose-lose situation, you know, you're employee for one of these companies.
Wow, yeah. Well, man, thanks a lot, man. I always learn a lot from you, though, because I miss out on a lot of things, though. But yeah, I heard a lot of this merger with from Union, though, with Norfolk, though. From a lot of my viewers, one of them is Alex Schumacher. Or,
yeah, I've seen his posts. Yeah. He knows his stuff. He's smart.
Yeah, he is, and I got to give him credit, though. I really enjoy his comments, and everything, and I try to answer him best as I can, so, yeah. Okay, well, we're at 29 and a half minutes.
Yeah, we covered a lot, man. I think we got to a lot of topics. It was a one-topic show mainly, but just want to I mentioned Fred Fraley earlier.
Yes, I'm going to see if I can get a hold of him, see what he would like to do. We'll get him on here one of these evenings if he can, or we'll do a recorded interview.
Awesome. Yeah, I got his...
I haven't forgot about him, though. I still got your message there somewhere.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I've got a copy of his new book about the Missouri, Kansas, Texas, and the passenger trains that ran down in their system. Incredible detail, time, and effort he put into this book. If you're into, like, reading about why passenger trains in this country kind of went downhill after World War II, this is a really good read. It's a good thing to pick up on. And it kind of goes in, like, it relates to today, because we're seeing Amtrak having more and more problems, and we're seeing how a lot of these companies really just care about freight operations, because freight is where the money is, and that's why we're seeing a merger like this happen. So it does have a relation to today, and at the end of the day, money talks and everything else walks, it seems like.
Yeah, our Amtrak has been coming by here early in the mornings now. I got the Mark B. Kenny the other morning, though, and I guess I missed the other one that morning, though, but I got one of them in daylight, which is a rarity around here, so...
Wow.
And I think one still runs through the middle of the night still, so something shifted, though, with the Amtrak schedule for sure. You know, both of them would come around 4 o'clock in the morning. The first one was around midnight, 1 o'clock, somewhere around there, and now they're coming to, 40, 41 are coming through there in the morning. So
yeah, that's all screwed up with that Floridian schedule.
Yeah, that sure
is
a
disaster. That's a disaster there. That's Amtrak's fault with that. But we could do a whole show on that, and I think we can get a lot of good comments on that.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going on 32 minutes. So, what do you think? Shall we go ahead and end it right here? And
yeah, man, I think we got to a lot of stuff, and I'm sure there's going to be more coming out about this merger and everything. And I'm just curious to, the one thing I'll wrap it up with, I'm curious to hear, I listen to my scanner a lot when I'm out rail fanning. I know you have a scanner a lot.
Oh, I got 4 different radios going, and one's a tri-bander, one's a dual bander, and single and multi-scan. So I got several radios in there. That way I could hear the broadcast simultaneously and not miss something out on a scan. So
yeah,
so that works good, though.
I'm waiting to hear, if when these crews or dispatchers are talking, if they have any commentary on this merger, because that will be interesting to hear what they all have to say about it, because I'm sure that I'm sure they're all probably pretty uncertain about what could happen out of this. But it'll be interesting the next few months because, it seems like lately a lot of these NS trains I've noticed have been late around here. The intermodals have been late. And I'm sure if the UP personnel are watching that, they're probably like already kind of coming up with a strategy to, change that around. So it'll be really fascinating what happens, Mike, because it could either change everything or maybe it'll wake up NS once and for all and they'll just have to have a complete reboot and maybe they pull their heads out of their you-know-what and they become like Conrail did in the 80s and 90s. But I don't know. These are going to be fascinating times.
Well, I hope they become fascinating instead of disastrous. So let's see what happens. Keep our finger crossed. No Union Pacific merger. No way. Nope.
I agree.
Nope. All right, Dave, I want to thank you for being on here tonight. Let me see when our next date. It looks to me we're going to be on the 6th. Saturday, September 6th.
Awesome. Well, that sounds good, man. I look forward to it, and hopefully by then we've got some more information, hopefully that's favorable for the Norfolk Southern, and we'll go from there.
Okay, very good, Dave. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. I'll get a hold of that other gentleman. Oh, man, it's stupid Biden. I just... what's his name, Fraley? Fred Fraley?
Fred Fraley, yeah, he's a writer for Trains Magazine. He's written a number of books, and he is a really, really insightful guy and knows a lot about the railroad industry.
Very good. Hey, maybe the anti-Biden pills are working. All right, Dave. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good night, Mike.
You too. Okay, that was David Coleman from Stowe, Ohio. So.